Good evening, everybody. Doc Severson here from Ready, Set, Crypto. Tonight we're going to be talking about 10 rules for securing your crypto in 2018. This is going to be your primer on wallets and security. So good evening, everybody. Great to have you with us. Whether or not you're joining us live or you might be listening to this a day or two from now on an archive. So before I get started tonight, here is our standard risk disclosure, which essentially says that if you don't treat this like a business, this will be the most expensive hobby that you'll undertake. Many people that thought that cryptocurrency was just a fun hobby back in December have already learned this lesson. So I will be not recommending anything for buying or selling this evening. Okay, so special welcome out there to our premium members tonight. Our goal is to share some guidance and ideas on how to lock down and secure your crypto in today's hostile environment. I imagine we have somewhere around 40 minutes of content for you tonight. So again, last chance I want to encourage you to download and print your workbook to better follow along with tonight's presentation. So please do me a favor, if you don't mind. And I know this is difficult for many of you, but what I've found out through years and years and years of doing this is that if I stop or if Mav stops and answers every single question as we get along, we'll never get done tonight. We'll be sitting here till 3 in the morning. So what we'd like to do is to give the presentation first, and then we will have plenty of time to answer questions at the Q&A period. Okay, so we just need to work together on that, and we'll get out of here as soon as possible. We'll honor your private evenings. So let's work together on this. We cannot comment on your portfolio either in tonight's webinar nor privately in email. So tonight's topic is about security and wallets. And so without further ado, I am going to part the waves here and make way for tonight's coach, who is Mav.
Hello, and a warm welcome to this webinar on cryptocurrency wallets and security. So cryptocurrencies are an emerging asset class and one of the most exciting investment opportunities of this century. We've gone from a single crypto, Bitcoin, the one that started all in 2009, to thousands today. As the space has expanded, so too have the security risks. With so much money and so many people flooding into the space, it's no wonder those lacking morals are using crypto as an opportunity to take advantage of the ill-informed and the unprepared. Whether you're a seasoned crypto veteran or you just entered the space, everyone needs to have a security plan to protect their investments. Crypto theft comes in many forms, and people lose their funds every day. While cryptocurrencies liberate us from the needs of banks, they also place a great deal of responsibility on the owner themselves. With cryptocurrency, you are the bank, which admittedly is one of the crypto's biggest strengths as well as its biggest weakness. When it comes down to it, people are always the weakest link in security. If your intention is to find success through investing in cryptocurrency, then protecting your assets from theft should be one of your highest priorities in order to ensure that success. This is because every day new schemes are being hatched. Every day new malware is being written. Every day new victims are being made. What separates you from them is how you make a strategic strategy around security and stick to it. It's how you plan to protect yourself and your investments. It's how you plan to continue to be diligent about security every day, because security begins and ends with you. That's why tonight we're going to be looking at the 10 rules of crypto security. Only you can know what level of security you'll need. This webinar will be aimed to be appealing to the broadest segment of viewers, but you'll need to customize the advice to suit your needs. By developing a solid security plan, you can effectively manage any of the scenarios you're presented with, or those that affect your personal portfolio and circumstances. Cryptocurrency security does not have to be hard, and in many ways, it's extremely rewarding because there's a relief in knowing that you've taken the proper precautions to secure your investment, and that you shouldn't have to worry about opening up your wallet to find that your funds are gone. In time, cryptocurrency security is only going to improve as better methods are developed and made more usable for the average person. Until then, we'll have to make best of what we have. Thankfully, we have an entire arsenal of choices at our disposal. Unfortunately, that also means that those who wish to do us harm have an equally large arsenal at their end as well. Security is a silent war between these two sides. and it's our job to be well informed and to bring the biggest guns to the fight we can. So let's talk through the 10 rules of crypto security. The first is to nail the basics. Your first wallet choice should be a core wallet. Every project has them. This is especially important for cold storage. That's when you have your coins stored offline for a buy and hold strategy. The reason is simple. If your coins are offline for a few months or a year, it's highly likely that the file format will remain compatible when the latest version of the core wallet. Core wallets are kind of no frills and designed to be stable and conservative. That's a good thing. It doesn't have to be fancy multi-coin wallet where the company disappears on you and you find you can't run it on the latest operating system when you pull your coins out of cold storage a year later. Be sure to set a strong password and encrypt your core wallet. However, for day-to-day usage, I find that core wallets are kind of slow, clunky, and frustrating. It's incredibly annoying to start them up and have to wait 20 minutes for them to sync, all while you're trying desperately to send coins to an exchange because prices are dropping like a rock. Not to mention they download the entire blockchain. With just a few altcoins, I've managed to eat up over 50 gigabytes of space of useless data that I don't need on my hard drive. So for quick day-to-day usage, I like Exodus for its gorgeous and intuitive interface. It's even synced with the awesome Shapeshift exchange built right into it, which lets you change one coin to another without having to sign into anything. Jax is another great choice. Both are multi-coin wallets with both support lots of coins and have plans to support dozens more. They're deterministic wallets, which means they're generated from a pre-created seed instead of a totally random starting point like a lot of other wallets. That has advantages and disadvantages. The big advantage is that you get a 12-word passphrase that allows you to recreate the wallet anytime, anywhere. You can literally delete the wallet, move somewhere, then download the software, plug in the passphrase, and have all your money back. That's pretty incredible. Both Exodus and Jax allow you to pin a passphrase and send money to start the program. But the huge downside is that your password is not connected to that 12-word seed passphrase. If someone has your seed phrase, you're screwed. They can recreate your wallet and the password on your desktop is now worthless because they have all your money. There's also hardware wallets like the Nano Ledger S. They're a little hard to come by right now as the rocketing rise of cryptocurrencies has ratcheted up demand. They sport hardware encryption and an LED screen. They're what I consider to be the golden standard of security and accessibility, but not everyone needs a fancy $100 USB stick. Still, if you're serious about your crypto security, this is what a lot of people, including myself, use. So the next rule is to identify and diversify. Identify which funds you need to be locked away and identify what security solutions are best. Diversify your holdings and where they're stored. Think of it as multiple eggs, multiple baskets. All in all, cryptocurrency should not be left on an exchange unless you're actively trading with it. Cold storage is the safest method of storing your private keys. For example, I've got a lot of Neo and I use the Nano Ledger S to secure that with the Neon wallet. That lets me collect the gas dividends while also having it really well secure. So that's the solution I use for that coin. But another coin, I would use the Core wallet. It's up to you to determine the best solution for your coins and what works best for you and what you're trying to achieve. But yeah, this is part of the strategic security plan that I keep talking about. The next point is to be tactful, doubtful, and have counsel. You need to realize that the most important security solution and method in your arsenal is you. You need to operate in this space. You need to know how to think in order to be more secure. You need to know how to look for common scams by being doubtful. And you need to know how to leverage the wisdom of the crypto community to find answers. Being part of this webinar is a great start of that. Next rule is always have a good backup. In fact, have 2 or 3 or 4. Have one off-site and one on-site. Have as many as you can. Take a cue from Mother Nature. Your DNA is replicated in every cell of your body for a good reason. They're backups. You can lose millions of cells and it's no problem because there's always another copy. Be like Mother Nature. Your computers don't matter. It's what you create on them that counts. Your laptop could burst into flames, but it doesn't matter if you have a good backup. Hardware and software are replaceable. Your data is not. Once it's gone, it's gone. Get yourself an external hard drive or two, like a 1 terabyte with Western Digital. Pick up a few USB sticks while you're at it. You could get a pack of 10, 16 gigabyte ones for under $50. You don't need a lot of room to store backups of your wallets, so 16 gigabytes is fine. I like to get more than one stick because I do expect them to fail. There's not a lot of margin for a $5 mem stick biz. Never back up to just one external disk and consider it done. But the most critical step is an off-site backup. If your house burns down, having a backup sitting in your sock drawer isn't going to do much good. I recommend getting a safety deposit box at the bank and throwing a few sticks in there. See, banks are good for something. Of course, if you're carrying around one of these little sticks, they have a habit of going missing. For that reason, you might consider an online backup to the cloud. That said, never, ever trust someone else to manage your private keys for any reason. Only backup files you've already encrypted yourself. Stored in a safe place, a backup of your wallet can protect you against computer failures and many human mistakes. It can also help you to recover your wallet after your mobile or your computer was stolen and you need your wallet encrypted, if you keep your wallet encrypted. Some wallets use hidden private keys internally. If you only have a backup of the private keys for your visible Bitcoin addresses, for example, you might not be able to recover a great part of your funds with your backup. Any backup that's stored online is highly vulnerable to theft. Even a computer that is connected to the internet is vulnerable to malicious software. As such, encrypting any backup that is exposed to the network is a good security practice. Don't forget that single points of failure are bad for security. If your backup is not dependent on a single location, it is less likely that any bad event will prevent it from you being able to recover that wallet. You might also want to consider using different medias like USB keys, paper wallets, or even something called a CD. I don't know what that is. You need to back up your wallet on a regular basis to make sure that all your Bitcoin can change addresses and have new Bitcoin addresses you created included in your backup. However, all applications will soon be using wallets that only need to be backed up once. Backups are kind of a really extensive topic that I could go on and on about, but the essential point is just that be smart about it, have redundancy, and always have a backup plan for your backup. The next point is two-factor authentication. When a service offers you two-factor authentication, you should immediately enable it. This is an additional layer of security that you can add to your accounts. Once set up, you're therefore required possession of a physical device, your phone, for example, and a randomly generated code which changes every 30 seconds to access your account. Although you might be given the choice of a two-factor via text message, I'd seriously recommend you use something like Google Authenticator or Authy instead. If possible, disable two-factor authentication via text message. This is because attackers can quite easily port your mobile phone number to a SIM card that they control. Once they do, they'll receive text messages sent to your number, including two-factor codes sent via text message. If you're worried about the above, you can ask your mobile network to add a passphrase to your account before they discuss anything with you over the phone about your account. However, doing this isn't a guarantee that they'll actually ask for that passphrase in the future. I suggest you verify that you actually ask for the passphrase a few days later. If they don't have it, I'd take my business elsewhere. Use a very strong password with at least 15 characters and use password managers to keep track of these passwords. Next, we're going to talk about phishing. Phishing attacks are one of the most common threats to cryptocurrencies. Changing your DNS settings can help to filter out phishing attacks and spoofed websites. Use OpenDNS or Quad9 or the Google Public DNS to add another layer of protection. As another added layer of protection, use a VPN that does not log private data. This should be especially the case if you're not on your home network, such as you're at Starbucks. Hardware authentication is even more secure. That little blue USB looking thing is called a FIDO. Use this on top of password managers where possible. It costs $15 or something like that, and it's worth it. If you look at the image that I've got here, you can see that this looks like Binance.com, but it's not. What they've done is they've spoofed this website by copying a lot of the code, the HTML, and they've actually made their own with these little dots you can see here. So this is a complete copy of Binance, and what they're going to try and do is fool you into logging into this website and giving them your login information for Binance, and then when it asks you for a two-factor authentication code, you're going to send that to them because you think you're on the real Binance.com and you're logging in to check your portfolio or whatever. And so they have not only your login information, but a valid two-factor authentication code. So they can use that to log in on your real Binance.com portfolio account. Once they do that, they'll pretend that on this website it didn't go through, and they'll ask you for another two-factor authentication code. So you're like, oh, okay, sure, I'll send you another one. So now they've logged in. They are waiting to extract your cryptocurrency, but they need another two-factor authentication code in order to do that. So once they get that second one, they have successfully stolen your cryptocurrency in under a minute. And that's how fast it can happen. So this is why I recommend you be very careful with where you're visiting, and use stuff like bookmarks to make sure that you're going to the sites that you should be. Stuff like this happens all the time because people just aren't careful with the sites they're visiting. They just don't do the due diligence to think, oh yeah, of course it's Binance. It looks like Binance. It's got HTTPS. I'm safe. There's nothing wrong here. No, you need to do the due diligence. You need to be very careful with what you're doing, because this can happen to you, and it happens to people every day. So just be very careful. The next point is software. Use only PCs with up-to-date antivirus and firewalls for your cryptocurrency transactions. Never assume your computer security is up to date. It only takes just one security vulnerability to have your computer hacked. If you're storing your crypto on your computer, having it on a Windows machine is probably the worst thing you could do. Windows is the most targeted operating system for malware and viruses on the planet, given it's the most used by consumers. So it makes sense that any crypto malware is going to be written for it. You might also want to consider installing a very secure operating system such as Linux. These are about the most secure operating systems on the planet. They're also less prone to hack attacks and have configurations that make them less vulnerable. Another point to consider here is that with something like a software wallet, such as like a Core wallet, it's going to be installed on your computer's OS, and it's going to be connected to the internet, which in and of itself is a vulnerability. Any wallet that's connected to the internet is by definition vulnerable, because there is a possible inroad for a hacker or a phisher or whoever has information that can be used against you to try and steal your cryptocurrency. Another thing I've seen is stuff like malware that gets logged innocuously on the back end of your computer. You don't even know that you have it because it's so good at hiding in plain sight. And all it's doing is it's looking for a Bitcoin private key or public key to be posted via the it's doing key logging to look for anything of that nature. And once it sees that you've copied and pasted that into a wallet or a crypto exchange or whatever you're doing on your computer, it will, without you even noticing, change that to another address just like that. You don't even notice it because I don't remember my public address for my Bitcoin wallet. I don't remember the 26 characters in there. So I wouldn't even notice that because unless you knew what you were looking for, it would happen so innocuously that, hey, I've just sent accidentally all that Bitcoin I was meaning to send to my other wallet. I've sent it to this hacker's address. And so it's stuff like that that happens every day to people, and they don't even know that it happened until much later when they realize, hey, I didn't get my Bitcoin. What happened? Oh, it got sent to that other address. What the heck is going on here? It's so easy to be taken advantage of this. Like, if you don't do the due diligence to be very secure with your operations, with your transactions, with your security, with your privacy, you have to be so careful with this stuff, because at the end of the day, it's your money that's at risk. So doing the due diligence to have security as a priority, it pays off in the end. So the next point we're going to talk about is offline. An offline wallet, known as cold storage, provides the highest level of security for savings. It involves storing a wallet in a secure place that's not connected to the network. When done properly, it can offer a very good protection against computer vulnerabilities. Using an offline wallet in conjunction with backups and encryption is also a good practice. So this is where we see something like the hardware wallet that I mentioned earlier. That's an example of a cold storage, because once I put my Neo coin on there, for example, and unplugged it from my computer, there is no way that anyone can access that Neo because it's on the hardware wallet. Well, not really, but it is, in the sense that the private key is being managed by that hardware wallet. So no one is going to be able to access that unless they really took advantage of it or were able to physically access the hardware wallet somehow, or it's just not happening. It's cold storage. It's offline. Another popular example of cold storage is what's known as a paper wallet. And this could be literally what it sounds like, where you write down the private key to your wallet and destroy every other copy of that private key. So the only private key copy in existence is that in the physical realm. It's not online, it's in the physical realm. So there's no way a online hacker is going to have access to that private key. But of course, this is risky because, paper, it can burn up. You have to have backups of your physical, wallet, your paper wallet, to make sure that you don't lose it in a fire, that you've got offsite backups for your physical paper wallet. So you just have to take a different consideration when it comes to security with the physical wallet itself. Another example are these physical Bitcoins that you might see all over CNBC or any crypto news website. And these are kind of just, I laugh when I see them, because most of the times they are just little blanks. They're meant to represent a physical Bitcoin, but there's no such thing as a physical Bitcoin. However, there were these things known as Cassius coins, which had the private keys inside of them. So these guys would sell a physical Bitcoin that had 1 BTC's worth, or 5 BTC, or etc., printed, assigned to that private key that was printed inside of that coin there. So that was really cool, that you could physically hand a Bitcoin to someone and say, here you go, here's 1 Bitcoin, and they would rip off the back of the protection on the back, have the private key right there, and that was as physical of a Bitcoin we'll ever see. But those have kind of fallen out of favor, as Bitcoin is no longer the big coin that it once was. And yeah, it's cool. It's a cool piece of history of the Bitcoin ecosystem, just to see those. But yeah, they're not used as much as they used to be. But yes, offline wallets are the pinnacle of how you store your cryptocurrency in the most secure sense possible. But of course, when it comes to having that much security, you have the least amount of accessibility. So it's a spectrum. I like to talk about security as a spectrum. You either have the maximum amount of security and the least amount of accessibility at one end, or you have the maximum amount of accessibility but the least amount of security on the other end. But think about something like exchange on one end versus something like a paper wallet on the other end. And everything kind of filters in between the two ends of that spectrum. So that's a good way to look at security itself. The next point we're going to talk about is encryption. Encrypting your wallet or smartphone allows you to set a password for anyone trying to withdraw any funds. This helps to protect against thieves, though it cannot protect against key logging hardware or software. You should make sure that you never forget the password, or your funds will be permanently lost. Unlike your bank, there are very limited password recovery options with something like Bitcoin. In fact, you should be able to remember your password even after many years without using it. In doubt, you might want to keep a paper copy of your password in a safe place like a vault. You want to use a strong password that contains only letters or recognizable words that we can consider very weak or easy to break. Sorry, that came out wrong. You want to make sure that you use a strong password that cannot be considered weak. A strong password must contain letters, numbers, punctuation marks, and must be, I would say, at least 16 characters long. The most secure passwords are those generated by programs designed specifically for that purpose. Strong passwords are usually harder to remember, so you should take care of memorizing it or use a password manager. Always remember, length is greater than complexity. So many times when you're setting up these websites, they'll ask you to, oh, you need a special character and uppercase and a number. And it's really just security theater, because when it really comes down to it, length is greater than complexity. Adding complexity does help a little bit, but really it does not in the grand scheme of things. Adding even just one additional character to your password adds an entire breadth of new possibilities for that password, whereas there's only so many passwords that can fit into, for example, 5 characters. Whereas with something like 16 characters, there's many, many, many more. I like to use this website called howsecureismypassword.net, and it's really actually kind of fun to plug in a bunch of different passwords and see, what would a computer take to crack that password. For example, here we've got, I think that's 16 characters, and it would take 318 trillion years for a computer to crack that password. That's pretty good. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. So use that to kind of ballpark what you'd like to use as an encryption password. And always make sure that you're not using the same password for everything that you do. I know you've been probably hearing that for years, but be smart about how you encrypt your stuff so that you aren't vulnerable to, if someone does acquire that password, that your entire security plan goes down in an instant. So always remember, length is greater than complexity. Great. The last point is the last will. Your Bitcoins can be lost forever if you don't have a backup plan for your peers and family. If the location of your wallets or your passwords are not known by anyone when you are gone, there's no hope that your funds will ever be recovered. Taking a bit of time on these matters can make a huge difference. Look, I like to get into all the stuff that I do with my cryptocurrency investments and coming up with this really convoluted security plan that only I would understand. But when it comes down to it, if something ever happened to me tomorrow, got hit by a bus or, whatever, there needs to be something in place so that someone could acquire, access those cryptocurrency funds. Security is only as good as your ability to pass it on to someone else should something happen to you. So don't let the single point of failure be just you. You need to have a multifaceted system so that if anyone needed to, they could access your funds, because that would be really unfortunate that, you invested in something that, is worth something good today, but my gosh, 20 years from now, it's going to be worth a lot more. And yeah, that would be really, really a shame if someone that you would wish to pass that on to couldn't access it because they didn't know your really fancy password that you just set up. So make sure that whatever you do, you have a plan in place, that you take the time to really write it down and make it accessible so that even someone who doesn't understand your plan or doesn't really understand the technology still has a ways to access it, or you can at least direct them to the right people that could help them to access it. So yes, this is a little bit of a somber note to end our list on, but I hope it illustrates that this is something that should have permanence, but it also needs to have a fail-safe method to it as well. So with that, we've completed our 10 steps or rules, and hopefully this has helped you to be inspired to take control of your security and secure your keys so you can take sovereign control of your money. I want you to take digital money seriously. It's incredibly empowering to fully control your own funds, but it's also a big responsibility. Former President Obama said, "We can't have people walking around with Swiss bank accounts in their pockets." But I say, actually we can. That's exactly what cryptocurrency offers. You are your own bank, and your money is your money. But with great power comes great responsibility. Security is not for everyone. Those who would rather not take the time to take this seriously are only playing with fire, or would rather have a bank control all of their money and artificially impose limits on how much of their own money they can withdraw in a day. I don't know about you, but if that doesn't sound right to you, then you're in the right place and with the right people, because having control of your money, being your own bank, is, I think, one of the most free, best expressions of freedom that you could possibly have. And it's extremely exciting to have this level of control. It's a little bit scary at times, but as long as you do it right, this is an extremely bright space. And it's so exciting to think about the possibilities that it's offering us as we go forward, and it only continues to improve every day. But again, with every improvement, we also have someone looking to take advantage of those who don't know any better. So thank you for coming along with this journey to be better informed. We hope that every day we can make progress to coming to a better place of understanding, and trying to stay one step ahead of all those guys that are trying to get the best of us, because we work really hard to get those funds, to invest in the right coins, to get really excited about stuff. And for someone to take that away from you is, I think, a really big shame. So making security a priority is, probably one of the best investments you could ever make, because then you are free to worry about the greater things in life. And I think that's awesome. So if today's information was a little bit enticing, but you want more, then you're in for a treat. I've got more for you. We've got a class that I'll be instructing that's going to be about 3 hours of content with worksheets, aids, videos. I like doing the canned stuff, so it's going to be a little bit more structured than this webinar was, but hopefully this has imparted to you that I take this stuff seriously, and I want to share with you everything that I know and make it accessible and fun and instructional, and in such a way that you come out of it thinking that, oh my gosh, I am so much better prepared to, I can't wait to implement my own security plan. I can't wait to play with all these different ways to better secure myself. I want to have the best security plan I can. I want to have this fortress of security that no matter what, no one is going to take my cryptocurrency away from me, and that is my right. So hopefully this imparts to you that, I'm really excited to offer this course, and it's on sale for $79 tonight as sort of a thank you for attending this webinar. It's normally going to be $99, but only $79 for tonight. However, if you are a premium member, thank you for being here first off, but you can use your one-time coupon for $69 to get even a better deal on it than it already is. So if you have any questions about the class, feel free to reach out to us. I'm more than happy to help with anything that you might need, answer anything else. We're going to get into question and answer in just a little bit here, but I just wanted to make sure that I reiterate that this is a really great offer. I think this is, something I've been working really hard on. So, if you have any sort of wondering about, hey, I just want to learn more about security. I want to be better informed about stuff. I want to really take control of my cryptocurrency security. I think this is the right class for you. It's not meant to be an introductory course, because it's going to go over a little bit of stuff. I think you probably picked that up from this webinar. We're going to be a little bit more advanced than an introductory course, so I'm going to try to reach the broadest audience possible, but it is going to be a little bit more of a sort of, not advanced, but sort of mid-range class, so just be prepared for that. But again, this is to, your own benefit. I think anyone can go into this class and take something out of it. So hopefully that gets you excited. And if nothing else, thank you for attending tonight's webinar. I'm so honored to be able to sit in front of you and present this sort of information. I love doing this stuff. It is so much fun to be able to do it every day. And thank you so much for being such a great audience. I love presenting for you guys, making YouTube videos. This has just been a thrill of a ride. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. With that, we're going to turn it over to question and answer. Doc's going to be with me as well. So if you have any questions about anything he does, feel free to ask away. But yeah, let's get into it.
This is how they get the this is the URL to get to the
I forgot we have one more slide. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, so if you're interested at all in the class, just go to ReadySetCrypto.com/wallet. I always forget this stuff when I'm giving these presentations.
Yeah, I thought you were going to make them like do a hash of a 16-bit password to figure out the discount for them. No, we're trying to make it easy to you guys. It's again, this is not available to the public. If you go out to the store tonight, if you go out to our store that's on our website, you'll see that it's out there for 99 bucks. So right now, just because of the fact that you're here, we're giving you this for 79. And for those members, and you guys know where the coupon code is in the newsletter every night, you can get it for 69 bucks. We're only going to have this for a couple of days, and then it's going to go away. So we encourage you guys to jump on board. So with that, we are happy to take your questions.